Hey yo everybody, it's Kenny K here with another 80s horror, thriller, psychological thriller, action, drama, whatever you want, horror movie. They say horror movie. I think there are horror elements in this movie because of some gory scenes, but it's more of a deliverance, not so much rapey. There is a rapey vibe. This It's a redneck horror movie, okay, called Hunter's Blood from 1986, directed by Robert Hughes. Now you got a few names in there. You've got Charles Cyphers, who's basically called Woody. He's the boss man. So you have these city slickers that come to this area. These five guys. One is a judge. One is this famous photographer in New York. And then you have the other one. I didn't know what he was. And then the other two, David and Mason Rand, are dad and son. Now, later on, this Mason, I'll tell you, this guy is just the man's man. You know, he's an old guy. He's like 60 or something. But fuck, man. You've got a few known names in there. You've got so you've got poachers, basically. Okay, poachers who are poaching meat and selling it to this company called Warthog Meats and Co. And apparently Woody is the boss of this company. Woody is played by Charles Cyphers, who we know as Chief Brackett from Halloween, who we also know from He's Watching You as the detective. Also, we know him from The Fog as the weather guy. Charles Cyphers was a partially, especially in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, used character by John Carpenter. He's playing Woody, this redneck asshole who hires this bunch of poachers who work for him, basically, to get the venison steaks and burgers that they get from the deer, the bucks they kill. Now, of course, it's poaching because the land there is owned by apparently one of these five city slickers. The judge, I think he's played by a guy named Joey Travolta. I'm not sure if it's any relativeness or if there's any relative of John Travolta, him, Joey Travolta. I'm not sure. You do got a very young Billy Bob Thornton in this, playing Billy Bob, one of the hillbillies, just for a small second, and you really have to look because he's wearing a cap, he has a beard, black hair. I mean, I didn't see him. And he has one moment, so very short role of Billy Bob Thornton. Now the poachers, okay, so you've got the city slickers, David and Mason Rand. These are the two guys who are survivalists. They know how to hunt. Especially Mason, he knows how to track. He knows a lot of things. David's girlfriend, Melanie, is invited by David to come to this lodge where they're staying, but at the end of the hunting trip. Now, the rest is called Al, Marty, and Ralph. Ralph is the New York, like I said, is the photographer guy. He's an asshole, and he's a sissy. He's a coward. He's everything you just don't want in your group. He can't shoot for jack shit. There's a moment when they have a deer, and one has a perfect shot who knows how to hunt, and he's also aiming his gun and does like this, kick back like crazy. He hit the deer, but in a bad way, so this creature is dying. This creature is going. Apparently, the poachers got it and killed it. Now, he's the one who the poachers immediately say, I want to put my dick in his bumhole. That pretty boy, you know, but he's a guy, when they arrive at this bar, first of all, I'm not calling rednecks bad people, by the way. It's just this movie is making rednecks out to be bad people, okay? But he's calling them rednecks, and he's like shooting pictures with his photograph. He's constantly shooting these rednecks, and at some point, one of these guys comes and, why is this guy taking a picture of me? And then Mason is immediately like, he's just playing around. But why the pictures? Then he takes a camera, takes out a film. Here, the pictures. Here, take it. So he's okay. The guy is backs off, but then they go in the bar, and you have got Woody and his gang, and the barmaid is like super the Confederate flag and all that shit, you know. And at some point, Woody asks. They ask for like six packs, a crate of beer, Budweiser, and they don't want to give it. And Woody says, "You're gonna get it, but you gotta pay us all $50." That's the deal. Then Woody is, and then Mason is like, "I'm not gonna pay that. I want my beer, and that's it. I'll pay for my beer." Then Mason is taking out his knife. "Are you really?" He said, "Pull your knife." He said, "You son of a bitch." He takes his knife. He wants to pull him. Mason does this cool trick, takes the knife away from him, and then puts him on the ground, put his boot on his fucking face, and he says, "Next time, if you want to use a knife, do it properly." Takes the knife, puts it in his pocket, takes the beer like a real man, and he's out of there. 60-year-old guy. Later on, he takes off. So they go to the poachers' camp where they find the wounded buck already dead by the poachers. They already met some rangers on horseback that said, two rangers that said, "You gotta watch out here because you have poachers and they're not playing around. We try to get rid of them, but they don't stay away." And their leader is called a guy named Redbeard. He's a little bit of a hulky dude. He's a muscular dude. He's like me, bald, but with a little bit more a red beard. He's a ginger beard. He has a ginger beard, so that's why he's named Redbeard. So you've got the poachers, a few of them. He's a red beard, one eye because he's blind at one eye. Snake, who's played by a guy named Billy Drago. Now, it may not be somebody you know, but if I'm gonna put some pictures up, you probably recognize the guy. He usually plays a gangster or a killer or some bad guy role. Um, got a guy named Washpot, multiple guys, and so at some point they meet the camp, and then Mason's like, "Okay, who's man?" Like he's like still like I say, he's the guy, he's the man. Everybody has shotguns. Like every five of them have shotguns. All the poachers only have one shotgun. The rest doesn't have their weapons on them. And Redbeard's, I can. Which one of you is gonna be blown away first? And then he said, "None of us," because Mason takes off his jacket. Who wants to take on? Who wants to take me on? Fist to fist fight. Then Snake, the guy Billy Drago, the actor, he thinks he can take the old man on. He thinks because he's old, so he tries to punch him. He blocks it. And he trips on the ground. He does this leg movement. Then he falls. Then he wants to hit him. He hits him back on the nose. Then he puts sand in his eye to cheat. Then he kicks him for a while, trying to choke him out. But then he hits him like flat on the ears, and I mean, that's really, if you do that, your ears are drumming like, pew! You can burst your eardrums by doing that. And he puts him on the ground, starts to pummel him a little bit, and eventually the rangers come and they say, "Stop it." So they know that these guys are the poachers. They're taking the poachers in. They finally got them all. And then something happens because those were not all the poachers. They are all chained together, one horse back, one horse front. But a few other poachers are shooting them off their horse. One gets shot, falls from the horse, and is taken away by the horse. The sheriff is shot, but he's still alive. But Redbeard says, keep him alive. Now, to go back in time, Billy Bob Thornton was sent by Woody to. They have a Bronco, the City Slickers, this new Bronco, and they go off with a pickup truck, and they basically drive the Bronco off road, and they're kind of stuck. You need a winch to get them back up, but it doesn't seem to bother them. How weird is that? Your car is stuck. Your brand new Bronco. How the fuck are you gonna get out of here? Knowing there are fucking poachers around, you know? Okay, let's have a good time anyway. Okay, that's positive thinking for you. Then, like I said, they get shot, they get loose. There are more hillbillies. I mean, more poacher rednecks, and eventually they find the camp again, Mason and the rest of them, and they find the sheriff except the head, the rest of the body completely flayed, you know, skin alive probably because he wasn't dead. And then, like I said, horrifying moments. There's gore in this one. And then they find the head of the other one, the deputy, on a stick, only the head. And Mason going to take a look at it, and he knows, shit. He goes back, he knows it's a trap, he gets shot in the shoulder, somewhere here, in the shoulder-ish area. Now, they stop the bleeding, but the problem is he's also, the bullet's still jammed in there, and he's internally bleeding. So he says to, in the midst of the firing back, I believe Al is shot down. The brother of Marty, apparently, he's shot down, he's killed, and David asks Marty and Ralph they take him away. They made this little makeshift. He's holding the fire, you know, boom, boom, boom. He's keeping at bay. He goes back with the others. Then because he leaves this camera behind that keeps clicking, 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 so they know somebody is behind that tree trunk. Before they know it, it's a camera. So that's their out for a while at least, and they make this makeshift little bed, like a field bed to put him on, and they say try to go east as possible. That's going to the open road. Try to get him to a hospital. He's not dead yet. He will not die if you're getting him to a hospital. So Marty and Ralph take it upon themselves to get there, and David is saying, "I'm gonna keep him here." So it becomes a little bit of a Rambo movie. What's the first movie called? I never saw the first Rambo. Is that First Blood? You drew First Blood. That was the first Rambo, right? It becomes a little bit of a Rambo movie. David, as a son of Mason, of course, he's also equipped in shooting, in making traps, being, stealthy. He kills one guy with a hunter's knife, puts him in his heart. He kills another guy when he throws a stick, and he fires at the stick, but then he shoots him down. But then other guys are shooting at him. He's hit in the leg with some buckshot, but not too bad, luckily. And he kills another guy a pretty gruesome way because he's like this close from a 2-barrel, and he sees a 2-barrel, boom, right in his face. His face is basically silly putty. And apparently that was the brother of One Eye, so he's going crazy. Billy Drago also has a fight with him, but he's stupid. So the trunk of the Bronco is open. He wanted to start the Bronco, but Billy Drago Snake, his nickname. He throws the gun at him, but he has a knife. So he said, "Go for it. I dare you. Go for it." And he's putting his hand on the Bronco, but he pops the hood and he smashes his hand, and then he hits his head like 4 times hard on the hood, and he falls. I'm not sure if he's dead yet. Apparently, he was neutralized because he's done for. After that, he's captured by, I think, this guy Washpot. He's tied to a tree, to one of their floating lodges, and Woody, when the girlfriend of David arrives, Wood, Woody is really friendly like, and he's saying, oh yeah, 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 those five guys, yeah, 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 in the Bronco, right? I can show you where they are. And you see him picking her up, and you see in the back of the of his van the the Warthog Meats and Co. company, you know. And so he's the boss of the poachers. Basically, he looks for the money and he gives the women. So he gives Melanie to Washpot, and he says, "Look at here, my new girlfriend." And of course, David is going out of his mind now, and he says, "Lock her up in my shed. I'm gonna take her later. Maybe I'm gonna take you first." He has another girl he fucks regularly around the clock. It's the give a the it's the girl that they give around. You know what I mean? It's the banger the banger girl. I don't think she was really happy though. Don't think she was kicking on that sort of shit. Poor girl. Now they also have this cleaning lady, an old lady. Eventually, David gets loose. He goes up and he takes the shotgun, and he wants to take his girlfriend, but Washpot is in the lodge. How he got there, I don't know, because it's one entrance only, and he got through the front entrance. Then he says to the old lady, "Take the shot," because he's holding a Melanie in this way that he can break her neck. He's big, he's clunky but big, and he says, "I'll break her neck if you don't lose your shotgun." So he loses his shotgun. The old lady takes it and he says, "Keep the shotgun on him, and I'm gonna fuck her where you watch. You can't watch." And then of course he becomes crazy. He hits the shotgun out of her hands, hitting her off out of the porch. I think she's getting the old lady knocked out. He goes to fight with Washpot, but he's pretty big. He's losing the fight. He's being thrown like a rag doll from left to right. And then you got an awesome scene where Melanie, because Melanie is a pretty strong girl. I mean, she takes this strong female lead. She takes this, like, these antlers, you know, that put on the wall, slams him in his back and his head of Washpot, and he's like, of course, dead. And then later on, One Eye is super angry, of course, trying to kill David, but he's like hurt him. He's still fighting him, but like Melanie breaks a glass on his head, takes a log, hits him on his head. She pulls on his hair and shit like that, and eventually David gets the shot and shoots him down. Then they're running away. Redbeard is coming, and then you have this train. They're trying to get on the train. Of course, David is hit, but he's still trying to make it. He pulls. You see a hand reaching for them, and it's the hand of the sissy boy that I said, the New Yorker sissy boy, Ralph. He takes her on the train. He takes David on the train, but Redbeard also gets on the train. But they didn't know that there are a lot of people on this train with shotguns, so they're all firing at him. And that's the cover of the movie. You have this. There's a cover of the movie that you have this body in water, in clear water, with a bloodstream and a body. And that's Redbeard. Now, the thing is, they show the back of the train, and it says Warthog Meats and Co. So I'm guessing they're not out of it yet. And then the movie ends. It's a fun movie. I mean, it's redneck horror, right? It's not extreme. It's more thriller action, but like I said, you got gore. You got a flayed man, flayed alive. Okay, you got a guy on a fucking head on a stick. A guy who gets punctured in his fucking head with a antlers. A guy whose face gets mushed by a shotgun. This goes a two-barrel shotgun just in front of his fucking face. I mean, you got a lot of gore, and they, I mean, and I liked the character Dave. I didn't like I said, Ralph, the asshole, who thought he was a big guy. He was this big at when he was scared. He was shitting his pants. Every one of these poachers wanted to fuck the pretty boy, you know, Deliverance style. As always, with these poacher fucked up rednecks, they want to rape everything that has a hole. Doesn't mean if it has a, it doesn't mean if it has a hole, it's fuckable. Probably fucking go to. I mean, it's typical redneck horror. Okay, so the pros are you've got these great characters, David and these two sons, David and Mason. This manly man, Mason. You really want him to live, so you don't want him to die. He's still alive at the train, so that's good. But you don't know what's gonna happen, right? They kill all the poachers, but still, it's going to a company that's owned by Woody. So, right? But they have shotguns and shit like that, so they still have their rifles. Because only one dies, and that's L. He dies in the heat of firing, and he gives up his life. So, like I said, I like them all. Just Marty, that was the judge. He's a judge, I believe, and he's like the big mouth, but he's like small and like a little meatball like figure. He has a big mouth, but he's not scared. But he can't fight. It's Mason who's doing the fighting for them. It's actually sad because he's the oldest guy. I think he was at least 60. He was great. He looked a little bit like Leslie Nielsen. So, and then the guy who then eventually drives the Bronco off the road is Billy Bob Thornton. But he's not. He's not one of the. I mean, he's one of the poachers probably, but he's not in the group of the poachers led by Redbeard. That's the name we are given. Also, IMDb gives him Redbeard. And like I said, the only known actors Charles Cyphers, and then, in my opinion, and Billy Bob Thornton, of course, as an A-lister later on, and maybe Joe Travolta. You know, he's a family maybe of John Travolta. Who knows? I'm not sure. Didn't look that up. He's playing Marty, the meatball-looking judge. No, the pros are you got some good tension, you got some gory scenes, you got some good action, you got some Rambo style action at the end with the two best hunters, David and Mason. Of course, Mason gets hit, and then it's David who holds them back. And you get a little bit of a Rambo scene, it's a thing in there, and it's pretty cool. The cons are I did not like the New Yorker. He fit in there like a sore thumb in your ass. It's He was a douchebag, and was there something else that I did not like? No, that's it actually. It's just the guy. He was frustrating. This guy, this New Yorker. He thought he could beat them all, and then when they're talking about raping him, he's like, oh, am I gonna be raped? Am I gonna be? Is you're gonna tear my fucking asshole apart? I mean, no, he was the only con in the movie, in my opinion. The rest was really good. Maybe David didn't see me. He didn't. Mason saw. Mason was the kind of Rambo guy who could take them all on. But maybe with David, But alone, David, he didn't look like the guy who can take him on. He was really afraid of Snake until he got his hands on his hood and he could, or he was playing afraid. That's possible, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure he was, because he was actually trying to kill a few and then run away. Basically, he wasn't fighting them all. Eventually, he had to because circumstances and his girlfriend being nagged by them. So I'm not sure. He also didn't really. He only made it worse in the bar. He said his last name is Springsteen, and the barmaid thought it was family of Bruce Springsteen. That was a stupid joke he was telling, and then she knew and she got angry, and that's why Woody got angry. And you know, you don't do that shit in a place you don't know and be an asshole about it. He was being an asshole a little bit, so that's also calm, David. But then later, he, like I said, he reconciles himself as being this Rambo-esque dude, but survivalist. But yeah, it's a 5 out of 10 for me. Um, yeah, it's a must watch, at least a watch. Yeah. So like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you didn't. It's a badge of honor for me. Just I would like to get to 100. 100, that would be cool. A triple digit figure. So do me a favor, please, and leave a comment if you like the video or not. Whatever. See you for the next horror 70s or 80s movies, or maybe 90s. I try to keep it in 70s, 80s, 90s. That's my niche. See you next time. Boom.